With every new generation of consoles and graphics cards, we're promised the same thing: realism. Real-time reflections, skin pores, cinematic lighting. Each innovation pushes games closer to resembling life itself. And yet, for all their beauty, many of these worlds feel strangely hollow. They're dazzling to look at, but difficult to connect with. You can see every leaf on a tree, every ripple in a pond, but sometimes it still doesn't feel alive. That's the paradox of realism. The closer games get to mimicking real life, the harder it becomes for them to capture its essence. Perfect surfaces can hide emotional emptiness. Technical achievement can't guarantee humanity. Turns out, the truth of the world doesn't depend on how real it looks, but how honestly it feels. Realism has always been the holy grail of gaming technology. From the early polygons of Virtua Fighter to the cinematic motion capture of LA Noire, each generation of developers has chased the dream of closing the gap between fiction and life. Modern games like Red Dead Redemption 2 are marvels of craftsmanship. The world feels authentic down to the way mud clings to the boots and horses leap tracks in snow. Every sunrise, every flicker of camplight feels painstakingly rendered. But that perfection can be double-edged. The more complete the illusion, the more it demands to be noticed. Instead of immersing yourself in emotion, it often leaves you admiring the technical feat. You start observing rather than feeling. Games like Detroit Become Human or The Order 1886 showcase faces so lifelike that every micro-expression is visible. Yet somehow they often ring hollow. The dialogue feels rehearsed, the gestures uncanny. You can't quite empathize because you're aware of the simulation. Realism becomes spectacle, not story. That's because emotion in art isn't about accuracy, it's about interpretation. The most powerful moments in gaming don't usually come from lifelike textures or perfect physics. They come from style. Games that abstract the world rather than replicate it often feel more alive because they invite your imagination to fill in the gaps. No matter how advanced technology becomes, it still can't perfectly reproduce life. There's always a trace of artificiality, something slightly off. The more realistic the visuals, the more our brains expect perfection, and the more they notice when something's missing. The result is the uncanny valley, a space between empathy and eeriness. It's why some players feel unsettled by the near-human faces like in Beyond Two Souls or LA Noire. The expressions were technically accurate, but the feeling behind them wasn't. It's the emotional equivalent of a wax figure, flawless, but lifeless. Contrast that with a game like Sable. Its hand-drawn, pastel art style immediately breaks from realism, yet the effect is deeply human. The wind rustles through minimalist landscapes, the color palette evokes memory rather than photography, and every line feels like it was painted by hand. The characters don't look real, but they feel alive. The world has texture, not because of fidelity, but because of care. This is the strange truth of emotional connection. Abstraction gives us permission to empathize. When a character doesn't look quite human, we fill in the emotion ourselves. When a world doesn't show every detail, we can imagine the rest. Stylization engages us as participants, not just observers, and that's what makes it feel real. So let's talk about stylization. It's always been art's way of telling the truth through exaggeration. It filters reality until only the emotional core remains. Games that embrace this approach often linger with us far longer than those that aim for strict realism. Take Disco Elysium. Its painterly visuals are intentionally messy, like a fever dream captured on a canvas. The world isn't realistic, it's abstract, blurred, drenched in color, yet it perfectly mirrors the protagonist's fractured psyche. The city feels alive not because it's believable, but because it feels interpreted. Every smudge of paint, every skewed perspective reflects mood over measurement. Or look at Pentiment with its medieval manuscript art style. By rejecting realism entirely, it achieves something far more authentic. A vivid sense of place, of history, of faith and doubt. You're not inhabiting 16th century Europe as it was, you're inhabiting how it felt. The stylization becomes the realism of the mind. Even a game like Kena, Bridge of Spirits, though visually lush, blends stylization and emotion in perfect harmony. Its environments glow with painterly light. Its characters are expressive, yet exaggerated, and its spirit companions blur the line between the whimsical and the sacred. The result isn't just beauty, it's believability. Not in the literal sense, but in the emotional one. Games like these understand what pure realism often forgets, that art doesn't need to copy the world, it needs to reveal it. The difference between realism and stylization is the difference between looking impressive and feeling meaningful. Realistic games rely on spectacle, vast open worlds, and motion capture. Their experiences to be admired. Stylized games, though, rely on expression, rhythm, abstraction, symbolism. Their experiences to be felt. Think of Inside, where light and shadow tell a story with no dialogue, or A Space for the Unbound, which turns a small Indonesian town into a surreal emotional landscape. Or Season, a letter to the future, where muted watercolor tones mirror the melancholy of preservation, a world remembered as it fades. None of these games aim for photorealism, yet each one feels profoundly real in its humanity. Meanwhile, even the most stunning AAA graphics age quickly. What was once groundbreaking can look sterile within a few years. Stylization, by contrast, ages gracefully. Okami and Jet Set Radio are still visually captivating decades later because they weren't trying to mimic the world, they were trying to express it. When games stop chasing realism for its own sake and start using visuals as language, they transcend time, because emotion doesn't age and sincerity doesn't pixelate. So, does the future of games really need to abandon realism? No, it just needs to contextualize it. Realism can be powerful when it serves emotion, just like in Red Dead Redemption 2 as Arthur Morgan ages throughout the game. Imagine a future where technology isn't used just to imitate reality, but to translate it, where the next generation of visuals doesn't aim to show us the world as it looks, but as it feels. We're already seeing this in a lot of the games we talked about today. Art styles that turn subjectivity into storytelling. They remind us that games are not about perfect representation. They're about resonance. The games that endure will not be the ones that look the most real. They'll be the ones that make us feel something true. The paradox of realism is that it promises authenticity, but often delivers artifice. Hyper-realistic graphics can show us everything, yet reveal nothing. Stylization, in its imperfection, opens a door to empathy, gives us room to project, to imagine, to feel. Games don't need to look like life to capture it. They just need to be honest about what it feels like to be alive. So when we look at a game like Sable or Disco Elysium, or even something as simple as Untitled Goose Game, and find ourselves moved, it's because stylization speaks in the language of emotion, not accuracy. In chasing realism, games discovered technology. In embracing art, they discovered the truth. Thank you, as always, for taking time here today to spend it with me and watch this video. I appreciate it very much. Thank you as well to all our members that are here. If you're new here, maybe think about going and clicking the subscribe button, the like button, and ringing that notification bell if you want to see more videos like this in the future. As always, I love you, I appreciate you, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.